Chapter 1. The Night That Rewrote Fate. Winter had swallowed the city whole. Snow drifted through the empty streets, while an unforgiving wind cut across the river, forcing even the toughest souls indoors. The roads were nearly deserted, and silence ruled everything except the distant sound of traffic fading into the night. Kang Yunho walked alone beneath the towering bridge, his hands tucked inside the pockets of his dark overcoat. Moments earlier, he had concluded a private meeting with a business associate whose loyalty had quietly expired. In Yunho's world, betrayals rarely ended with arguments. They ended with permanent solutions. His thoughts remained fixed on business until a faint sound interrupted the rhythm of his footsteps. A child was crying. Not loudly, not desperately. It was a restrained kind of crying. A child struggling to stay brave when there was no one left to comfort them. He stopped, following the sound beneath the bridge. He spotted two small figures hidden in the shadows. A young girl sat on the frozen ground, with a little boy pressed tightly against her chest. She couldn't have been older than 9, yet the expression in her eyes belonged to someone who had spent years surviving instead of living. She looked directly at Yunho. There was fear, but there was something stronger. Calculation. She was silently deciding whether the stranger standing before her was another danger, or perhaps the first chance she'd had in a very long time. Yunho approached slowly. "You don't have to be afraid," he said calmly. "I'm not here to hurt you." The girl said nothing. She simply tightened her grip around the boy. Seeing their condition, Yunho reached into his coat and pulled out a thick stack of cash. He extended it toward her. To his surprise, she didn't even try to take it. Instead, she stared at the money with open disappointment. "We don't need cash." Her voice was steady despite the cold. "If you really want to help us, bring food. Real food. Don't throw money at us just so you can feel better about yourself." For the first time in years, Kang Yunho found himself speechless. Money had always solved every problem in his world. Tonight, it had just been rejected. Before he could respond, footsteps echoed beneath the bridge. 2 rough-looking men emerged from the darkness, instantly recognizing an easy target. One of them grabbed the girl's wrist. He never had the chance to tighten his grip. Yunho moved without hesitation. Within seconds, both men collapsed onto the icy pavement, groaning in pain and scrambling away as quickly as they could. The fight ended almost before it began. The girl watched everything in complete silence. When the danger was gone, she looked at Yunho and quietly said, "You're not a good man." There was no anger in her voice, only honesty. Instead of denying it, Yunho gave a faint smile. "No," he admitted, "I'm probably not." His attention shifted to the little boy. The child's breathing had become shallow, his lips pale from the freezing air, and his body burned with fever. There wasn't a second to waste. Yunho gently lifted the boy into his arms and hurried toward his car. The girl followed close behind, not because she trusted him, but because her brother's life depended on taking that chance. The hospital staff rushed the boy into emergency treatment. Doctors worked through the night. They tried everything they could. But sometimes help arrives after time has already made its decision. 3 days later, a doctor stepped into the hallway with the kind of expression that needed no explanation. The boy hadn't survived. Severe pneumonia had gone untreated for far too long. If someone had found him sooner, things might have been different. But children hiding beneath bridges are often invisible until it's already too late. The girl didn't cry, not in front of anyone. She simply stood there, staring at the floor as though every tear had frozen somewhere inside her. Yunho approached quietly. Neither of them spoke for several moments. Finally, he broke the silence. "Come home with me." She looked up immediately. "I don't want anyone's charity." Yunho shook his head. "This isn't charity. It's a choice. A choice I'm making because walking away isn't something I can do anymore." For the first time since they had met, the corners of the girl's lips lifted ever so slightly. "That's the first honest thing you've said." Neither of them realized it then. But on that freezing winter night, beneath an ordinary bridge forgotten by almost everyone, 2 completely different lives became permanently connected. 15 years later, that single decision would return in a courtroom where the truth would prove far more powerful than money, fear, or revenge.